know what? I'm not going to lie. I trained at a gym in California. I was living there and training for a year, and an MMA fighter gym. And they were all like, whenever you want to learn, like, come, we'll train you. And I was like, all right. I mean, I would, like Trevor, like, I love all sport, and I would love to learn some different things.
She's well-rounded. She's got good shoulders.
You can't tell right now.
No whining.
No quitting.
Overcome.
Community. Teamwork.
Tough Mudder.
Tougher together.
Hey, to all my Mudder family, OCR brothers and sisters, and to you listening to this podcast right now. We share a world, so you're my people too. I am your mirror man and host of Tough Mudder's No Excuses podcast, Sean Corvelle. In this episode, I am talking with Stephanie and Trevor Cichosz, two elite athletes in the running and OCR world. Stephanie Garcia competed at the NCAA and track and field championships, and she represented her country in 2011 and 2015 in world championships. She is just beginning her campaign to compete in the endurance racing world, so look out, y'all. Trevor is one of our top OCR Ultra Runners, competing, winning, and setting records and events all over the world, and one of the few people to possess the orange jacket representing being a member of our World Toughest Mudder 100 Mile Club. And he's Mudder family. The two are married and just recently had their first child, adding the title of brand new parents to their long list of wonderful accomplishments. You can find a lot of information about these two on the internet, talking about their athletic achievements. In this episode, I wanted to concentrate on getting to know them personally. I met Stephanie for the first time when she was with Trevor at John and Elisa Hobson's wedding. They're Mudder family too. It was a Mudder family wedding. I've known Trevor for years through Tough Mudder, but I've never really actually sat down and talked with him for any length of time. So this was cool. In the early years, he was one of our elite competitors, along with Allison Ty, Amelia Boone, Ryan Atkins, Lindsay Webster, and Javier Escobar. And I shouldn't have started with the names because I know I'm going to leave out some people Azar, Evan, Deanna, Juliana, Rhea, Morgan, Stephanie, Pac, Chad, all of these guys early on, they were the ones who infused that Mudder mentality of maintaining camaraderie and teamwork during competition and honoring your fellow competitors with your best. In fact, it was Trevor and Christopher Mendoza that created that one most iconic Mudder moment in our World Toughest Mudder competition. We talk about that moment. We talk about Stephanie and Trevor's early life and their life together now, being that they're new parents. We also talk a little about Trevor's experience and feelings during the protest and unrest in his home state, and the pushback he received from some in our Mudder community. I had reservations about this, approaching this topic, but found Stephanie and Trevor very open and honest in their response. So I'm glad we went there. I want to be able to talk to my friends and the people I love about anything. You know, I like sharing perspectives and asking questions and listening and hopefully growing from that conversation. I believe in a world where it seems like one perceived bad erases 1,000 goods. Trusting that positive connection we share with people is so important. Here is my conversation that felt like 1,000,000 goods with Stephanie and Trevor Cichosz on No Excuses. I am here talking with Trevor and Stephanie Cichosz. Stephanie Garcia Cichosz. I got to get Garcia out there because you've had so many great achievements also. I hope that people go on Google your name. Do you have a website also, Stephanie?
You know, I think I did way back in the day, and now, like, I feel like I'm a little bit out of the track scene. Hoping to get back in postpartum, but yeah, so we can direct everyone to ground pounders.
Actually, I didn't pay my dues. The website's down. So
we clearly are in the like thick of, you know, no sleep, like not really knowing what day it is, like trying to shower once a day. That's like a win. So yeah, people want to follow us. Probably Instagram is the most easiest right now.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at the other day. I was looking at the Instagram pictures, just so people know what we're talking about. You guys just had a gorgeous little boy, and this is your first time. You're young parents, right? First time parents and all that. So a very whole new challenge for you now that I'm guessing is going to take everything that you've learned in your previous challenges and put that to the test in real life, real little life right now. Congratulations on that, by the way, guys. Well done. Well done.
It's the ultimate endurance race for sure.
When we first got on, you were like, oh, okay, here we go. Which I've heard so much from new parents and anybody that has kids. Let me say this real quick, too. I got married a year ago, and I'm living in Utah now. And I inherited now. With it came a 15-year-old. He's 17 now. So I guess it was 2 years ago. And it's too late for you guys, but I would recommend to anybody, if you're going to have a kid, have them at 15, right there, man. That's just an awesome human being, and just very cool. So once again,
awesome, I remember myself at 15, and you would not have wanted me. So
really,
like, I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But,
well,
you know,
that may be that competitive part. You know, that side that wants to get out there and live and just feel alive and all that. You know, I think sometimes we might misjudge kids that are so, they seem preoccupied with other things that they want to do than what we want them to do. But I think sometimes it's like there's something in there that they're feeling that they're not addressing that may be frustrating them. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so now go ahead.
Oh, so yeah, I had a stepdad, and when I was 15, like I was in ISS or suspended all the time. I'm the anti-athlete because I didn't do any school sports, so I was just always in trouble. But I did treat him good. So
that's funny. That's funny to hear that you say that you weren't an athlete as a kid, because you're like one of the top athletes now, both of you. And yeah, you are in the running world, in the what you say, ground and pound, OCR, track. So, wow, that you would say that.
Bloomer.
Yeah. Well, that gives hope to anybody that's out there, you know, these young kids out there thinking that it's too late for me, or even those people that are sitting on the couch that like, I'm not going to get off the couch. I've never ran when I was a kid or did anything like that. No, guys, get on up, live, you know, get out there.
My first 3-mile run was when I joined the Marines. I did it in Converse. So, you know, I never ran either growing up. So, I mean, yeah, it's never too late to start something.
Running in Converse. That's like old school, man.
Well, they look like running shoes to me.
At the time, they were the shoe of choice for any kind of athlete. So let's go back, guys, real quick. Again, I encourage anybody, go online, Google your names, and there's a lot of great interviews that you've done that, you know, technically you talk about your running and preparations, and, you know, for anybody that's really savvy in this whole run thing, go and check those out, because you were interviewed by smarter people in that category than me. I'm more from a personal angle here. And I said to you, Trevor, before we started recording, is that when I started working for Tough Mudder, people like yourself and Ryan and I can just Javier and just go through all the names that were the top athletes that we've met in the OCR world. You were one of the people that, not just me, but other of us regular folks, I would say, in the Tough Mudder world, in that community, thought was just so approachable, man. You were like, you had that instant buddy feel about you. Yeah. And so I'm happy to have you and Stephanie on here. And that's going to be my approach on this. This is just a personal chat for me. You know, you don't got to get technical and all that stuff. So
Well, Sean, I love that you say that about Trevor, because what I've learned about him and our whirlwind of a time together is this man does not know a stranger. He goes into, you know, the corner store and knows every single clerk. He will just make friends everywhere. He'll get anyone's phone number and invite them out rock climbing, invite them to come go to the lake. He makes friends like that. And it's just his personality. It's in his family. They bring people in. And so that just what you were saying, that he's approachable, he's everyone's friend. That is down to the core. That's how he is.
Yeah. How did you guys meet?
I'll let you tell. Well, actually, after World's Toughest Mudder last year, we went to the after party, and Amelia was going for that gold jacket, but yeah, she's just a little short.
Amelia Boone. We're talking about Amelia Boone.
Yeah, Amelia Boone. Yeah, and so I let her wear my jacket, and we got a picture together, and then she's friends with Amelia Boone because they have the same running coach. And she saw that. She's like, he's a little long-haired guy. So.
Yeah, basically the short story is I was following Amelia during that weekend because, you know, I'm her friend and I wanted to see how she was doing. And all the after-party content, Trevor was featured on some stories. And he was the man of my dreams when I saw him. And so I messaged Amelia and was like, who is this man? Is he single? What's the story here? Just happened to be that he was. And this is the first time Trevor has heard this phrase. I slid into his DMs on Instagram and just kind of introduced myself, said, hey, I'm new to OCR, hope to cross paths with you. We started messaging and yeah, very quickly turned to phone calls. And I came out to visit maybe a month after we started talking. And we already knew at that point that we were this is the real deal, but it kind of
it clicked. You know.
Yeah.
Wait. So you saw him first. Did you know that?
Yep.
Trevor? Okay.
Yeah. So, she reached out to me on Instagram, just messaged me. And then I think I did one reply and I told her texting, let's just call. And then
that's not true.
Which I did to you yesterday. So.
We messaged a bit, and I'm very curious person, so I'm always asking a ton of questions, and I think that he types so slowly that he couldn't answer all my questions at once. So he said, let's have a phone call. And from there I said, I was based out east and he's obviously in Seattle, Washington. And so I was like, I know you always take people up to the mountains, you snowboard, you do crazy things. I'm down for an adventure. I'd love to come visit, before the end of the year, do some winter stuff. And, but from there, again, we talked extensively for weeks before I actually came out to visit and had FaceTimed. And we definitely were already falling in love at that point. But coming out here just kind of sealed the deal. It confirmed that I wasn't crazy and he wasn't crazy and that this was crazy enough to work. So,
So wait a minute. This was last year's World Toughest Mudder when you guys, because y'all look like you've been together forever.
Yeah, we haven't even known each other a full year yet.
Yeah, it's true.
So you're still discovering stuff. How cool is that? That's a fun part of the relationship.
Yeah.
And Trevor, do you remember even seeing her during the event, the World Toughest Mudder event last year?
No, she wasn't at it. She was watching the stories on Instagram. She's in Kentucky at the time.
I was doing other things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm brand new to OCR as well, and we can talk a little bit more about this later if you want. But yeah, I just retired from track racing in early 2021 and started working with Coach David Roach and wanted to get into OCR. Going back to Amelia, I had met her in 2016, was a huge fan of her. Obviously she's a world champion. She's done Spartan, Tough Mudder, all the things. And so I started following Spartan a little bit and some of those elite girls and thinking it was super cool and I want to try. So last summer I started doing some age group Spartan just to learn. And it was so fun. I ended up winning the national series for my age group. And the plan was to kind of keep going. And then we, got pregnant. So that was put on hold for a little bit. But yeah, so I'm pretty new to all of this world.
That's interesting because your athletic background is track, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And again, you were like, you're doing really, really well. You represented the country, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was on 2 world championship teams. I ran track at the University of Virginia and then went professional. After that, was sponsored by New Balance for 10 years. Super lucky. Had some really amazing experiences. Got to race all over the world in some of the top events. For the track nerds, always did like the Diamond League circuit and all that stuff. My event was the steeplechase, which is super popular now. Back in my day, it was like still new for women. It just got into the Olympics in 2008 for women. So, yeah, it was a wild ride. It was so fun. But towards the end of it, I was just dealing with injury and burnout. And so was ready for a new adventure. And that's what we're in right now.
So you mentioned Virginia. I like to do this with all my guests. Let's go back to the beginning, guys. When you were little kids, this is little Stephanie. This is little Trevor. Little Stephanie, what was little Stephanie like growing up? How was life for her that got her to where she is now?
So I had a really tomboy mom and an artistic dad. And I guess that combination in me just made me super competitive and driven and type A. And so I don't know, I did a lot of sports growing up, lacrosse, softball, but my mom liked to run. So I kind of tagged along with her. And every time there was little races at middle school, I just would jump in and do really well. So joined up the cross country team with some friends when I started high school. And I'm just so competitive. I wanted to be the best freshman. And so I worked hard enough. So there was only a couple seniors that were faster than me by the end of the track season. It was awesome. So I was never a state champion or anything like that, but just every time I get to a level, I want to get to the top of that level. And then you kind of just keep leveling up. That's kind of been the story of my athletic life. Get to high school, want to be the best. Get to college, want to be the best. Become a pro, want to be the best. So,
yeah, mom, be the best.
Yes.
Best mom.
So that's kind of my background. I swam growing up. I did a lot of different things, which I think served me really well. Didn't do any gymnastics. So obstacles are really hard for me. I don't know how to move that way, but
They say she's the fastest car in the world, but she doesn't have 4-wheel drive.
you don't want to see me on monkey bars. It's so awkward. I can't even swing my body that way.
We're on technical trails. But
Yeah.
Relatively, but let me say this, this is a new adventure for you. So that's going to come. You're a natural athlete. I feel like that's going to come. So
Yeah.
if you're placing odds in Vegas, I'd say in 2-3 years, bet the house on this lady right now.
Okay.
Little Trevor, what was little Trevor's life like and to where he got now?
so my mom was a hippie. My stepdad was a musician. My parents split up when I was born. My dad's the businessman and motivated and high energy and always doing something. But I was mostly raised with my mom and stepdad, so I didn't really do any sports growing up. I did some BMX, and my dad got me into motocross. And he played hockey and basketball. I wish he would have got me into hockey because I would have loved to play that growing up. Now I started lacrosse, which is basically the soccer version of hockey, whatever. But yeah, so then I grew up in a small town. I just wanted to get out of it, so I joined the Marine Corps to go travel the world. And I plan on staying in for 20 years, but those 4 years, they burned me out pretty quick because I got deployed 3 times. It never sat in one place more than 2 months, unless you're in Iraq, and it's 7 months. And I got out, and I lived such a fast-paced lifestyle in the military. I needed to keep it going because you can't get out and just go to college and sit down, So I found obstacle course racing, and then I figured that was a good way to release. And then it got me back into running and working out, and it changed my life for the better.
And you were a Marine. What was your experience just briefly, what was your experience with that when you were over in Iraq, I believe you said you were?
Yeah, I was in the infantry, 0311, just a rifleman, the backbone of the Marine Corps. And so I did a first deployment in Iraq was 2006, 2007. And then I went back in 2008. And then I went to Afghanistan in 2009. So usually you do 7 months deployment, then you get 14 months off. But we did 7, 7, 7, 7. Like, they just hammered us for that 4-year block. But it was it was different. It's just basically it was a police job. We walked down the street in squads and just wait to get shot at.
Wow. Yeah.
This is the job.
Well, he's forgetting that then after that, he came back and was a government contractor. And so he was still going abroad, still going everywhere, multiple months of a year. And when he says that fast-paced lifestyle, like he was kind of a drifter in a way. Like he'd come to the States for a couple months and have fun, snowboard, whatever, and then go and be gone, deployed. So
I spent 7 years of my life so far in the Middle East at 35. And my last deployment to Afghanistan, I came back February 2020, and I was getting ready to go back again, and then COVID hit and they froze everything down. So then I was like, I just quit. So COVID was good because it got me away from that, you know.
You're not active military anymore.
No.
And it's so funny when she says you work for the government. I'm like, do we need to stop here so I don't have anybody knocking at my door? Sean, you're gonna have to forget all this information that you just received from Trevor.
For us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, I'll do it. Yeah. That's funny too, Trev, because when I hear that, and I know you have your security business also now. Also, you still have that, correct?
Yep. Yeah,
okay. Yes. But when I hear that, because again, you're such a laid back guy from what I know. And for you to hear about you in the military and being there for so long and serving and then again, working with the government, contracting with the government, I'm like, it's such a laid back guy. You're like that great movie of I guess our American James Bond. We would never think of you as that, but then on the other hand, you love adventure. It seems like you love the challenges. You love to live, and one of the things I noticed, so I'll ask you, is that a lot of our military, well, at least there's a lot of military that sort of migrate to that OCR world, this running, challenging obstacle course, even miles, 100. Is there a connection? Is there something that's going on there?
I mean, we had to run obstacle courses in the military. We had the O course, you have to go through. And obstacle course racing is just like total functional fitness. You're using everything. You're crawling, you're swimming, you're carrying heavy stuff. And that's what we're doing training. And that's what we're doing for a job, like every day. And also it's the community and the competition, because the military is a competition. The day you're in there, you're competing against everyone for promotion, for rank, for positions, and for billets. You're competing against everyone, every single thing you do, like getting dressed. First one to get dressed. So it's like, people, it's just competitive nature for 4 years. And then just when you get out, you can't go back to normal life, I think. Yeah. So people need to just get into this stuff. Sports. I mean, I see veterans playing sports everywhere. Yeah. And the ones that haven't gotten into it, I do see depressed. So,
Yes, that's true. And it seems like it does help them. It helps them with those that are dealing with PTSD. You've ran all over the world. Once again, I said it before, people go online, check out the information on you guys. Cause dude, I didn't know you went to like Scotland, like everywhere. And you're placing in these places. You're doing well. You're doing podiums. You're winning. Dude, that is freaking awesome, man. What was the biggest challenge for you now in all these places you've been to?
The biggest challenge? I have to say Nepal. I mean, I was ready I wasn't ready. I was mentally ready. But then like two months before the race, I broke my ribs snowboarding. And then I went to Afghanistan. So I couldn't run. So I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to go to Afghanistan and sit there. So I went to Afghanistan, and then I came back from Afghanistan, flew straight to Nepal. So I was at 2,000 feet elevation in Afghanistan, not training. And my ribs had just recovered. And I fly to Nepal. the race, the average elevation of the race is 15,000 feet.
Ouch.
And it's 135 miles, but it's in Nepal. It's all scree, loose rock, snow. So I think I averaged 1.2 miles an hour or less than that. It took me 100 hours to do the 135 miles, and that was a tough race.
Yeah, dude, this got to wreck you physically.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I climbed to 18,000 feet 4 times to go over these mountain passes, and I wasn't acclimated. Like, my oxygen sat was way down because they do it at every station.
Yeah. So. Yeah. How did you deal with that? Because for the first time, I had altitude sickness when we had an event in Copper Mountain. And I had never had it before. You know, I've been up in the mountains a bunch of times. I used to, on stage, I've made fun of those people. And it was miserable, man. I was bent over. I literally had to drive down to Denver to rest overnight to go back up Sunday to work again. How do you deal with that during competition?
Just the same thing in World's Toughest Mudder. Just you're wet, cold, tired, just keep going. You know, 1 foot in front of the other, just unrelenting forward progression, no matter what. But yeah, it was terrible because I wasn't eating because every aid station, this is Nepal, is way up. People got to hike everything up there. So every aid station was rice and fried eggs. It's like, I got to stick with that. So I wasn't eating anything, and I wasn't sleeping because also you can't sleep with that stuff because you feel like you can't breathe. So yeah, it was tough, but it was beautiful. I have some great memories.
Yeah, I bet, man. You could write a book on this stuff. Stephanie, now you're coming over again from the track, from the pure running, I would say, side of it, and transitioning now into this OCR. And what's the biggest difference for you, or the biggest challenge?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, it's OCR is full functional strength and fitness. And so there are movements that I just can't do. Like any rig, I've rarely completed a rig. And even if it's as simple as like the monkey bars, my body doesn't know how to swing, or like, I don't have confidence in like the like arm to arm, not that I've ever been like weak upper body. I just don't know how to move that way and how to trust my body that way. I can run straight and I can run in a circle, turn and left, like that I can do. I can jump. I'm strong. I can do all the lifting stuff, but the swinging motion, for whatever reason, super challenging for me. So that's going to be a big learning experience. It amazes me to just see Trevor just like go do Tarzan stuff out in the woods, because that's just not my style. And also I'm getting into trail racing too. And that's a challenge because when you're a track runner, you run on trails a little bit, but you really kind of avoid them, because if you twist an ankle on a trail or trip, like your season could be done, and that's your livelihood. So really, I never did anything challenging with trail running as a track athlete. So learning that now, like just footwork and going, letting go downhill, like that stuff, it's a challenge for me. So there's a lot to learn, but that's good because that means I have ways to level up. So I would hate to kind of come in and be like, oh, this is easy, I got this. Then what's the challenge going to be? What's the excitement? So
when you see pictures of you on the internet, though, you look like you could do anything, because you look like you could be an MMA fighter, You know what?
I'm not going to lie. I trained at a gym in California. I was living there and training for a year, and an MMA fighter gym. And they were all like, whenever you want to learn, like, come, we'll train you. And I was like, all right. I mean, I would, like Trevor, like I love all sport, and I would love to learn some different things.
She's well-rounded. She's got good shoulders.
You can't tell right now, but but yeah, no, I'm an adventurer. Like Trevor, I've never done any winter sports. Like I didn't grow up with snow really. And so Trevor, when we first met, was trying to teach me snowboarding. Again, I don't have that like side to side motion. And so I'm pretty horrible at it so far. I've only gotten to try like a few times because again, then I was pregnant, wasn't going to do that. But I get so frustrated. I can't figure out how to like move. He makes it like art. I like just roll down a mountain with a board attached to me.
That's what I'm trying to teach you. It's like taking just a paintbrush on canvas, just slowly slide across. You know?
No, I'm like, gotta like grit my way through it. So that's our big difference. Is Trevor is so mentally tough and obviously a physical specimen, but I think for me, I've really just like grinded my way to the top. I wouldn't say I was like naturally gifted towards anything. Just kind of sheer willpower got me pretty far.
You're working with a running coach?
Yeah. So David Roach is, he works with a lot of ultra runners, OCR, for the people who know Spartan, like Nicole Miracle, he's her coach, coaches Amelia Boone, lots of other trail and long distance runners and whatnot. So working with him, I've always worked with coaches. Just again, track is, you have to have a coach essentially. So I'm very coachable. I like to be told what to do. So, yeah,
no, he's the best. I've been reading his stuff for years. Like when I started Tough Mudder and I wanted to learn about how to run properly, and I used to read his articles and listen to his podcast. He's probably the best coach in the US, I think, for trail and everything.
Yeah. Do you, when you're training, Trevor, have you ever worked with a coach and how much are you into like nutrition and like the technical side of all of this?
So I've never worked with a coach. I'm more of self-study. Like I learn everything myself. That's the only way I can learn things. That's why I did so bad in school. I couldn't have them feed it to me. I had to take it at my own pace and through my own ways of learning. You know, I do a lot of reading. But nutrition, just whatever goes in the tank.
Really? You're that? How? Go ahead.
It's so funny because I like lived this elite athlete lifestyle for so long. And again, I was in like professional training groups and I was like strict lifestyle. Like I would go dry for seasons, like no alcohol, no dessert, like meals like a certain way. And part of me is like, Trevor, kind of good you didn't know me then. You might have thought I was so like high strung. You might have not thought it was fun, or maybe it would have inspired him. I don't know. But I really I love that kind of stuff. So I've been thinking, I'm like, okay, I got to go out and get some quinoa. I got to go start getting some like veggies so that we have like, as I get back into training now that I'm postpartum, I'm like, maybe less pizza and beer, maybe more like green salads and healthy food. And I don't know how he's going to handle that.
You can't put anything in quinoa to make it taste good. Like, you know where it belongs? In the trash. Actually, when we were running together before you got too big. Yeah, like I just drink a beer before I run because I like the sugars and the calories. I drink the IPAs because you get like 500 calories out of it, and I'll get you an hour run and put you in that nice mellow mood. So
I have to say I've never done that, but we have different approaches to training and like the lifestyle of being an athlete. But I think it's a good balance. So we'll learn from each other. I won't be so crazy, and maybe he'll like embrace some like healthier habits.
Yeah. One, beer. I'm not an alcohol drinker either. All beer tastes the same to me. And then when I started working with Tough Mudder, that used to be the thing. At the finish line, you get a free beer, and people love that part of it. I'm like, really? That's refreshing? That, it's a recovery for you when you're just done being so physical? I didn't get it. In fact, Clinton Jackson, Clinton, Trevor, he's our finish line MC, funny, great guy. He would have them on stage, remember, drinking out of their muddy shoe, drinking the beer. Have you ever done that?
No.
You haven't done the muddy shoe drink?
This year he'll do it if he makes the podium.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll do it.
You're saying that officially right now, that you will drink from your muddy shoe after you make the podium. And we're talking about World Toughest Mudder.
If I still have a shoe left.
Yeah, really.
We'll do it. We'll hold him to that.
Okay. All right, then. How old are you now, Trevor, if you don't mind me asking?
35.
Almost 36.
I'll be 36 before the race.
What are you noticing then physically now that you're going through in your 30s? Any difference?
Everything hurts.
No, just because I pick up a new sport, so like lacrosse actually hurts, but no difference yet. I always say this. I'm 59 now, and the biggest thing for me I get it when people say recovery time. It was the biggest difference for me, especially in my late 40s. I started to feel it. That recovery thing was like, all right, I'm going to need more than just, 1 or 2 days now. And in fact, like my training now or exercising now is more preventive maintenance than it is, preparing to go out and slay the dragons, but
that's funny that you say preventive, because that again was like my thing. I would do like an hour of like prehab drills before going for a training session. I would do like core and all the stuff at night, rolling out with all the like contraptions. And I'm like starting to do that again now. And I feel like, Trevor's on the couch, we're watching a show, and I'm like over in the corner doing like little drills and stuff. And he's probably like, what are you doing? This is not important. But that's what I do too. Always this like preventative stuff, because injury was like the kiss of death, right? For any full-time athlete. So
I still don't stretch, but I never stretch after a run. I just go.
He doesn't do massage. He doesn't like his calves to be touched. He's so weird.
I just want to stay wired
Superman.
tight.
I've never seen Superman stretch before. He went, and broke through a wall or had to go in and rescue. He never did any kind of warm up other than coming out in his suit. So maybe that's.
The one thing I'm implementing is I'm not really doing any weights anymore. Like, I think it's good for everyone too, is just do more calisthenics as you get older, because it's just more about your body weight, just to stay in shape. Because like weights are just, people get in that meathead mode and are always doing heavy lifting, but like you're gonna get hurt in your 40s, 50s doing that stuff. So,
and it seems like for endurance, you tell me, you're right in there. That you don't want all that muscles. That burns up a lot of your oxygen from what I see in fighting and all that kind of stuff, and it seems like the really superior running athletes, they look like climbers, they've got that, their body is just so efficient, kind of like how, again, your physique yourself, both of you, it's just efficient. There's no waste on it.
Yeah, so like my friend Chris, he's like, I can overhead press 225 pounds. It's like, well, how long can you dead hang? You can do it in a minute. It's like, I don't care. So actually that changed him. He was like, he started working on those, and he ended up getting to the point where he could hang from one arm on the pull-up bar, which I think is it's a better test of strength than how much you can press over your head. Is can you hang from one arm? So.
Stephanie, World Toughest Mudder, will you be participating in it as a runner?
No, not this year, because it's just a little too soon, the turnaround. And again, really need to dedicate time to obstacles. But definitely plan on having like a full 2023 and beyond until we have another kid. Hopefully not like, too soon. But yeah, so kind of taking the rest of this year to just heal up. You never know how your body's going to respond after a baby. And I'm lucky. I feel like it's been smooth, but I want to be smart about it for like long term. So already doing some cross training, going to start some return to run routine in October. But it'll be a little too soon for me. We'll be out there in the crew in the pits.
Good.
You want to tell him your goal?
No. So Trevor,
no, you got to tell me now.
No, my goal, my midterm goal is I want to try and qualify for the Olympic trials and the marathon. And I've never done a marathon distance in training as a track athlete. Like my longest run was 16 miles. So like this is going to be a real challenge. But I have a great coach. I think that I'll have some mom strength, some mental toughness. And so we'll see. I think you've got to break 235 for women to qualify. So giving myself the year to kind of like give a couple of attempts and see what happens. So that's kind of the goal right now.
Wow, look out, ladies, and all my Spartan elites and all my OCR elites. Boy, you got some competition coming when she's ready. This is also, there's so many things I want to say, but I don't want to forget this. One of your, I think, Trevor, in my view of watching you compete, is one of your strengths, your major strengths, Superman strength, is the mental aspect of it, that mindset when you're out there. You know, I've seen you come through that start finish line over and over, same pace, man. And Clinton and I, we always laugh because you can't really see you guys. You just see your shadow as you're running in, but we know your gait when you're coming in. We know your gait, you know? And so we know it's Trevor coming in. But that mental toughness, is that something you've always had or something you've developed?
I think it's something I've always had because I had it in the Marines and, you know, they didn't teach me anything. They just something I went through. So I think I've always had it. I just always want to be better.
Trevor has the attitude of like, you can't tell him what to do. Like, I can't even say like, do this. He'd be like, I'm gonna do what I want. And so I think that like stubbornness has translated into this like gritty approach to races that he has. Like the man will go like, and I haven't even seen him do a Tough Mudder yet. Again, we've not even been together a year, but just from what I know about him, what I have seen and what he does in real life, like, yeah, there's like no telling him like, oh, you got to slow down or you got to go faster. He's going to do his plan until like he physically cannot move.
And so I love World's Toughest Mudder because like, yeah, you got a 15-minute 5K. My 5K is probably like 21 minutes, but you get out of the race what you put into it. Mm-hmm. Like athletic ability doesn't really mean anything in World's Toughest Mudder. I don't think it's all about how persistent are you and consistent. Like I always tell everyone, consistency is key in this race. Like, be consistent.
Yeah.
And he said to me again, because like I haven't done it, and we've talked about like, oh, you know, a woman has never hit 100 miles, and so we talk about that kind of goal. And he's like, anyone, man or woman, he's like, they start so fast and they burn themselves out before, you know, nightfall. And like when it's nighttime and it's cold and you're in the water, like that is when all the doubts come in. And if you're not prepared to like get through that.
Yeah, I was like 4th place in the women's and like 40th or 50th in the men's 6 hours into WTM. And then it's just like tick, 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 tick.
Yep. Yeah. I see that. I've seen it a zillion times. We're like, and I've said that to people, you know, in later races when I've seen you, now that I've always experienced you, and we're looking at all the results so far, and I'm like, well, don't worry, Trevor's going to be moving up. So all these other people, they're like rabbits for him right now. You know, he knows. Go ahead.
I posted my splits from last year on Instagram. You just look at them. There's like a 20-minute spread between the start and the end of the race. Like, find that groove and go.
But that to me says you know your body. You know your, again, and to me it's body, mind, and spirit, all that stuff you're using out there. So you've got a sense of yourself when you're running. Yeah. Again, as you're getting older in your mid-30s, does that change for you at all? Or do you surprise yourself at all still?
No, I mean, everything's the same still because like when I run, there's no goal pace, no nothing. There's no pretty fancy workouts I do. They're all boring. I go by time. Like I want to do an hour today, or I want to do 90 minutes a day, and it's always the same pace. A little trot. That's all I got is that one trot.
He's underselling himself. Like his one really quick story is that we met someone who didn't know either of us, and I said that we run together. This is back when I was still pregnant, and she was like, "Oh, you can keep up with him?" And I laughed. I was like, "Can he keep up with me?" And I joke that like pregnancy was like the equalizer because then we could actually run the same pace. But to be fair, like Trevor's pace, like he does drop down, especially on a road, not like a trail that's like technical and stuff. Like he's got a good natural pace, and I think just, again, you combine that with the mental toughness and like that inability to quit. Like he's got a good engine.
Yeah.
But I like to breathe. So when I run fast and I can't breathe, I don't want to run fast no more and I stop. So that's when my mental toughness stops right there.
What are you thinking? Yeah, in those really super rough moments where you're thinking, okay, I can't, and maybe it never runs through your head that I can't take another step. But in that moment, what is running through your mind? How do you keep yourself going? And this is a question for both of you because you're both very competitive in this sense.
For me, it's what I want. I can't live with myself if I don't do something the way I expect. Like if I half-ass it, then I'm not going to be happy, and that goes in my job and everything. Like you just couldn't sleep, if I didn't do my best.
For me, my philosophy is that success is when preparation meets opportunity. And so you do the work, you're training for those moments. And so you're testing yourself in your training to withstand those doubts, those moments of fatigue. And so that when the opportunity is there, you can hit that flow state and you're just it just flows. You're a robot. It's beautiful. That's when you can see the successful race versus the not successful race, where you've had that moment. On the track, you always have that moment where you're like, I should just stop. I should drop out. I should say I twisted my ankle and just be done. But if you can push past that and be in that rhythm and trust your training, trust your body, that's really what it's all about. And it's so cheesy, but that's really what got me through labor and delivery was I trust my body. I trust the preparation I've done. I know I can do this. And having that mindset, whether you're pushing a baby out or you're finishing a race and trying to get a podium, it's the same concept of trusting the work you've put in.
Yeah. Yeah. And in fact, let me say this too. You both seem very competitive. And in that vein, Trevor, you had one of the defining moments, especially for me, I think significance, because one of the things that I'm always saying to all the mudders out there in the circle is about, even in our competition, we're looking out for one another. And it's all about being your best. No one's better than your best, but your best will make you better. And that's going to make us all better. And part of where that came from for me is watching you and the Atkins and Amelia and Ross and all those guys, all you guys in the beginning, is that you're out there, you're very competitive, but you guys are still looking out for one another. And that one special moment for all of us in Tough Mudder was with you and Chris Mendoza. When it's on film, it's everything. It's going to be in the book of Tough Mudder. When Chris, I guess it was towards the end. You tell me. It was towards the end where you gave Chris that encouragement as he passed you up towards the end. What was going on there?
Yeah, I had I think a 90-minute lead or something crazy. I can't remember but there's 2 hours left in the race. There's no way I could lose it, right? But something happened. I was coughing up blood, and I went to the hospital after. But I don't know. I think I inhaled something, got in my lungs or something. Was it Tor sac? Who knows? But I couldn't breathe. I could not run, even though every year I can still run at the end of the race. But this one I could barely walk, and I couldn't do the obstacles. Climbing over those little mud mile, just getting on my stomach. It was and I just paused there. And I'm okay, now I went the slowest lap I've ever ran in my life. Anyways, that allowed Chris to close the window, and he passed me that last half mile before the finish line to win the race.
What did you say to him when he was going by?
I said, "Go get it, you deserve it," or something like that.
Because there was an exchange there, because he asked you if you were okay, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. He came up and put his hand on my back. I was like, you all right? Because he could tell I was hunched over, I just wasn't right. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. It's go get it, you deserve it. Because he did. He worked hard for it. His first World Toughest Mudder, he ran 50 miles, right? Or 45. Yeah. And then he went up to 80 and then 100, and he won. That's impressive. So
yeah, I felt that early on before he really got competitive in the OCR world. I got to meet him and his family, and Chris and I went out to dinner, and he was just asking me again from my experience of the whole thing. But I felt it then that this meant a lot to him. And to see him progress, like you just said, it was like, wow. I saw the beginning of this as far as in the OCR aspect of it, but that moment, again, it's like it identifies to me one of the beautiful things about that whole Tough Mudder mentality, the community, again, from both the high competitive end all the way down to those people that come there because they lost a loved one, because they're dealing with PTSD, because they got that diagnosis they weren't expecting, that you're out there and certainly you're taking on your own personal challenge, but you're sharing this atmosphere, this energy with people, and you're contributing to something, to their challenges, whether you know it or not. You're contributing to their challenges also in a very good way. You inspire. Go ahead.
Oh, that plays into my outlook on the race. It's like we're not racing to a finish line. We're surviving together for 24 hours. And if you see it that way, maybe you won't run so fast in the start,
Yeah. How important is the winning part to you, that competitive part?
I always go with the goal of 100 miles, I'm like, I want to hit 100 miles every year now. Because, and it took me 4 years to get 100 miles. And that was my goal. It's like, I'm doing this race to get 100 miles. I don't care if I'm 50 years old, 60.
Yeah.
And I got 100. I'm like, how many times can I get 100? And now I'm like, I want to get 1,000 lifetime miles. I'll be there in maybe 3-4 years. So.
And I thought I read where you're the only one, or have placed the most podiums in our World Toughest Mudders in those competitions. Is that correct?
I know I have the longest streak because I never missed it since 2014.
Yeah,
I don't have the most.
I think you do. You may have. We're going to have to go and look that up. You certainly have the orange jacket that represents one of the few people that have done the 100 miles. And you know what? I'm thinking now, Stephanie, that this goal that you didn't want to mention may be the first woman to break that 100 mark. I don't know. You don't have to answer. Don't say anything. But I'm thinking that might be it. I'm just saying.
There's so much obstacle work that has to be done before that. I go into OCR so humble. Like, I'm a true beginner. And that's why I did age group for Spartan last year, because I wanted to learn without, I didn't want to show up to this, an elite start line and have these girls look at me like, oh, she thinks she's hot stuff, when I had no idea how to even complete, a monkey bars, let alone the harder stuff. So, I'm a true student of the sport, and I know there's going to be a few seasons of learning and ugly races and burpees before I can actually be a player. So
yeah, and there's a lot of mental to it, and again, I love that thing where anything that takes me to where my physical, my mental, and if you allow that spiritual thing, all of those come together in that moment that you're living right now. Man, that feels good. Do you have anything like that, Trevor? Do you?
During the race, or
what's I guess it's what's the high for you?
The high is run. So just when everyday run, I love the what do you call it? Just the runner's high you get. You're working your body. You're going somewhere. That's why I hate treadmills. I want to go somewhere. I want to change the scenery too while I'm doing it. I want to climb.
What I love about Trevor and his relationship with running is he calls it his meditation. And so yes, we'll run together. Sometimes he runs with headphones, but when he goes out there, it is this what you're saying. It's his chance to shut everything out and be in his head, in his heart, in the moment, be present. And it's a really special thing for him, whether it's just a run around the block or an ultra race. My relationship with running isn't like that anymore, because it was my job for so long that I kind of put pressure on it. I had a different approach to it. And so I'm trying to relearn that and take a step back and say, this can be fun. That sounds like really sad, but like running hasn't always been fun for me because it was so much like you're training for this big goal, you know, and it's a purpose, not like a passion all the time. So that's what I love about Trevor. That's what inspires me on a daily basis, is that he has it. Running is like his like zen, and it's so cool.
Yeah, it's like, I'm glad I'm not a professional athlete because I don't want to make something I love a job, you know?
Yeah, yeah. What's your, I'm going to put you on the spot now, Trev. What inspires you? How does Stephanie inspire you?
How does Stephanie inspire me?
Yeah.
She is the strongest woman I've ever met in my life. I say, oh, my grandma Rose, but you're like right next to my grandma.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because, oh my, just the birthing process, just watching that. But I mean, even before that, like, so she's always so happy, but always so tough. Like, those two don't go together very often, but they do with her. Like, you can't bring her down. Nothing can bring her down. You can say anything you want. Anyone can say anything to her, and she stands tall. So, but yeah, birthing process, she didn't use anything. It's all natural.
Wow.
And she made no noises. And then as soon as he came out, she grabbed him. It's like, didn't let the doctor touch him, just held him, and she did not look away forever. It's amazing. She's amazing.
How was that experience for you?
For sure.
Go ahead. First you as a dad, as the man.
I didn't see it happen.
You missed out on the magic.
I joke. No, it's surreal for me too. I couldn't believe it, you know?
Yeah.
It was a long process. It didn't go totally like what I was envisioning. He came a little early. Like, my water broke, but I didn't have any like contractions for 24 hours. Like, it was a whole thing. It was like nothing I've ever experienced. Like I said, the true endurance event for sure. But yeah, it just was a real test of mental toughness, like to get through those contractions, to like get through the pushing. Like, it was amazing. It was so primal. That's what got me, is like your body just like goes into like survival mode. It just knows what to do. You don't have to like work so hard. It just flows. So
yeah, you just hold on and let the body.
You just ride the waves of pain and then the moments of stillness. So it was amazing. Definitely, I told him like, hey, like I'll do this again at some point. So that's a positive thing. I'm not traumatized, but
yeah, we're talking to my grandma Rose about, you know, when she gave birth in like the 40s, and she's like, well, I went to the hospital and had little wooden rails next to the bed, and she's like, what are these for? And like, well, you just grab onto them, hold on, and the baby comes out. So,
I think
that's what I did.
She grew up on a farm, and she told us like all she knew about birth was like seeing the animals give birth, you know? And so, anyway, it was a beautiful experience. Obviously, we're so blessed to have this amazing baby boy. And yeah, we're like in the thick of it, just about a month in, and Trevor gets good sleep. I get little naps throughout the night. But no, everything is awesome. It's like totally giving you a new appreciation for your passions, your pursuits, like the lifestyle. So it's incredible.
Yeah.
So the next step is to see how we balance the training, the racing. I mean, he'll be in the pits at WTM, so anyone can come say hi and meet Charlie as he cheers Daddy on. But yeah.
Yeah. So. Real quick, because you made me think that, you know, the beginning of man, a lot of how we learned to survive was our observations of the animals. You have little Charlie with you right there? Little Charlie, right?
He's sleeping now.
Can we see him real quick? Look at that. Yeah, there's little super wonder baby.
He's got a lot of swag.
He's a big boy. He's already 9 pounds. He's long. Like, I kind of like stood him up earlier and was like, dude, you're going to be like 6'4".
It's almost 2 pounds he's gained in less than a month.
Yeah, he's a big boy. He's good.
We had a lady at our last event, Stephanie. I was up in Toronto, actually. I love the Canadians. Um, and she was pregnant and she's like, I'm going to go around. She's had electroshock. He's like, I'm going to go around this. I'm like, you really don't even have to say that. I'm surprised you're even out here doing any of it. But yes, please go around. How late into it were you still being active?
I mean, the day before I went into labor, I had a little to go workout. I was still running like 4 days a week. Not very fast, not very far, but like I was going, we had him at 37, almost 38 weeks, and I was still rocking and rolling,
Yeah, he came early. Yeah.
But yeah, was doing things the day before I went into labor, so.
Yeah, and I'm no doctor or anything, but I feel like that would be a benefit that would help,
Yeah, the midwives were like, you have such a strong pelvic floor. That's great for the pushing, not great for the contractions where you're supposed to relax. I don't know how to do that. But yeah, I think he's going to be a little tough guy, and he's already a pretty strong baby. And so I think he's got some big shoes to fill.
No pressure on him.
He'll be inspired.
This is like, and of course I'm going to be hyperbolic here or whatever that word is I'm looking for. This is like Superman and Wonder Woman had a kid, and it's going to be like Super Wonder Kid now. Super Wonder Charlie is.
Yeah. Maybe he'll be like, I'm going to be an artist and a musician, not an athlete, and like that's fine. Our family, I just want them to have like a passion that they pursue. Yeah. Whatever it is. It can be science, it could be space, it could be the flute. I don't care. Like whatever it is, they just have to go all in on it.
A passion for life. Yeah. Okay. So before I get you guys, this goes so fast. I say this almost every all these podcasts. You know what I love about podcasts? Because you have a podcast now also, the two of you. And is that, man, people are so freaking interesting. Everybody, there's something interesting in, to me, everyone. And man, I love discovering that. Yeah. What's the name of your podcast?
All You've Got, because like our feeling is like all it takes is all you've got. So that's why we chose that. And we just want to talk to people that we know in the community, OCR, running, trail, all that stuff about like, just, yeah, exactly what you said, like what their story is, what they're passionate about, and like what motivates them every single day to like give it everything.
Because once again, this is not a got you. I'm not into this whole got you thing. This is about, I want people in here that I think are just inspirational and motivational. So let me say this to you, Trevor. I know during, and we'll edit this totally out. You just give me the word. I know during the uproar that was going on up there in Washington and during the whole riots and all that stuff, there was that moment of where people, our community, our brothers and sisters, as we call them in our community, they got upset with you because of an incident that you had went through and how you had talked about it. And I want to say this to you from me. Okay. And I've said this to a lot of people in this world. It seems like one bad equals 1,000 goods, in that how we know you, and I'll speak for myself, how I know you, my connection to you, dude, you've never been anything but inspirational and positive. And again, like I said, a buddy that I'm meeting for the first time, but have known all my life, and then when that incident came up and then people got, I would say that I would interpret that they were disappointed, but or got upset with you for reasons. I'm like, come on, y'all, really? This guy, his heart, you feel his heart, grow up and use this as an example to how the world is, period, where people do this to everyone, to other people, where, again, you've brought somebody into your life, into your heart that you say is family, that they're that special to you, or somebody that you maybe even seen, a celebrity that you've seen that they've brought you so much joy in your life. And then they do one thing that might, like you say, disappoint you. And then all of a sudden you color them. That becomes their one color to you. That says more to that person in judgment than it does about that person that they're coloring.
Remember the old saying, you can build 1,000 bridges and suck one dick, but you're a dick sucker.
Yeah.
You're not a bridge builder.
That's funny. I never heard of that, but okay. I'll take that.
I grew up with.
You mind if I say that in the circles now at the Tough Mudders? My point is, in a long-winded way, man, I'm sorry that happened. And to me, through that whole thing, dude, you were always my brother. Never doubted your love, your heart for a second. Still don't. Got your back on anybody that would say otherwise too. So I just wanted to say that.
Seeing the city fall apart and everyone supporting it. So
I think that what I took from that was that, like, maybe you have like your thoughts about a situation or how things should be, a cause, a movement, but everyone has their own like life experience. So like maybe I have an opinion on, defund the police or Black Lives Matter or whatever, but my lived experience is different than Trevor's, and what he's experienced or went through maybe impacted what he thought was the right solution or whatever. And I'm not going to take that away from him. Like, this, again, you can like take this out, but like, I'm not a Trump supporter. I wouldn't say Trevor's a Trump supporter, but like, he's acknowledged that there's some things for the military that Trump did that were good. And I never saw that, because I wasn't part of that in the moment. So I'm here like anti-Trump, and he's here like, well, he did this one good thing. And I'm like, okay, like that's your lived experience. That was something that was positive for you and your, veteran brothers. Like, I'm not going to take that away from you and say, no, you're wrong. He's horrible. Like, does that make sense? So,
oh, absolutely.
Just generally speaking, like for any major thing, like you have to look at someone's lived experience.
Yeah. I mean, I was like one of the only people still working I was actually busier than ever during COVID because I do security and everything was empty. So we were on the verge of mass looting in the city, and I was getting sick of it because I never slept during that whole thing. I was out. I get calls at like 2, like all night, and then I just happened to be at a gas station, and kid walks in, grabs some 40, walks out. Because like, what are people gonna do? There's no cops, so I took care of it. But then then I posted about it, and people freaked out on me.
It seemed to me they freaked out because you said black guy or something like that.
That was what the problem was, because the BLM thing was huge. They had overran a police station. They burnt down cars. Yeah, one guy grabbed an AR and started shooting it around the streets. Like,
yeah, but this gets to what I was saying, that I've said that, I've said Asian guy. I've said, in certain moments or context of stuff, or it was a woman, she was a total bitch. I've said that stuff. I do not hate women. I do not think less of women. I do not think less of anybody in this world. Sometimes I'll say a description that maybe people might be sensitive to and all that stuff. But once again, my point is, guys, if you're connected to someone, their heart, don't get, if you want to have that discussion with them, you talk to them like I would talk to my blood relatives, that I love, that's one of the gifts, in fact, I think of, if somebody has, like you said, Stephanie, a different experience in this world, and you're connected to that person. I have lots of friends, if we want to talk political, that are Trump supporters, and to me, that's a blessing. This is how I see it. They're a blessing to me, because now I can go to them and see a side of things that I might shut myself down to, or I just don't get. It doesn't necessarily mean I agree with I may agree with something they say, I may not. It doesn't mean that. But the gift is through a trusted connection, I get to see another view of this world that I didn't have. And so that's how I take it in.
That's the right way to see it, too.
There's so much partisanship in this world, like just black and white, like wrong or right, like my way or the highway. We don't have conversations anymore. We don't let someone share their opinion or their perspective without just like shutting it down and saying like, oh no, that's wrong, And so just like what you're saying, having trusted people in your life, like have a conversation, like with what, again, I wasn't part of Trevor's life when that incident happened, but like my reaction now is, and like with some of the conversations we've had online about gun safety and gun control, and I know people have had opinions about that. It's like, well, let's have a conversation about it. Yeah, you share your side, let us share ours. And like,
so how someone should have replied to me on that was, why do you think that event occurred? that's how you start a conversation, and then we can go. But
agreed.
They come right out attacking you these days. So
yeah. Like, no one wants to like listen. They just want to share. They just want to like shut it down or say like you're wrong. Well, like let's talk about it. And you know, there's some things that are blatantly like okay.
I don't care because I'm not trying to make friends. You know, like trim the fat, all right? Because if you don't like me as who I am, you know, then I don't want you as a Facebook friend or whatever you are. So it's like that's why I'm not afraid to stir the pot. Like I think it needs to be stirred every once in a while, just to trim the fat off your friends and followers. So.
Yeah. Well, stir the pot. That's that same energy that has you out there running hundreds and hundreds of miles and taking on these challenges. And I might be bleeding inside, but you know what? I'm going to at least get to the finish line. You know, that great saying that we get to say, and I say at World Toughest Mutters, you know, World Toughest Mutter, you don't finish at the finish line. You finish someplace out there and you make it to the finish line. And once again, and this is the last thing I'll say about it is that, to me, this gets back to the essence of what I think of one of the beauties of the OCR world, sports in general, just being active in general, is that the bottom line is that it is an exercise of your survival skills. To me, this is my opinion. You are exercising those survival skills, and it's in a sneaky way because it's fun and it's energizing. And it's just like when you see baby cubs, baby animals playing, what they're doing is exercising their hunting skills for later if they're predators, or they're exercising their survival skills if they're runners and all that kind of stuff, you know. And that's the same thing with what we're doing with Tough Mutters and OCR. Mentally, when you get to that part where you're in the moment mentally and spiritually, you're using all of your experiences in life to get through this moment. That is what you take with you in every experience, whether it be having a child, raising kids, dealing with all this craziness going on around you in your community. The idea is that you don't react emotionally to the fear of what's going on, because you've experienced the feeling of fear, the feeling of those emotions. You've experienced that. Okay, okay, but wait, now let me deal with it logically and do what really needs to be done so that I can keep moving forward here and survive and, you know, connect with the world. There's my little statement. That's all I'm going to say on that stuff.
Beautiful.
Which will, again, little pause. If you want me to get rid of any of that after we're done with this, you just tell me, dude. We'll do that and all that, you know. But
I got nothing to hide.
Yeah. Again, trust your love out there, people. Trust your love. You know, even if you feel it disappoints you, check yourself, because that is your love that you're doubting. Then, so this brings us to my two bonus questions that I always have for my guests.
I forgot them.
Good. That'll be spontaneous answers then. One is a quote that was brought to me by a gentleman named Craig. I got to visit Craig in the hospital just before he passed away of cancer. His family, and he was telling me that when he got diagnosed for the last time, he started living by this quote that became a model for him, became a model for me. I brought it back to Mutter Nation, and over the years, they made it so popular, it actually became a song by Darius Rucker. And this is going to be a little bit long-winded, but because you were there, Trevor, at our last event in Laughlin, right? Mm-hmm. The World Toughest Mutter event.
Yeah.
So I always said that Darius Rucker got this song from the Mutters, making it that, quote, so popular. Whoever the writers were that brought him that song, or maybe he heard it himself. And he was there across the street, literally at an amphitheater, performing that song on our most important Mutter night, our World Toughest Mutter. Cosmic, I don't know if you believe in that stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah, maybe, you know, maybe Craig had his hands down touching us all of our hearts. But with that being said, just an amazing night. The quote is, when was the last time you did something for the first time? So on this one, I'm going to start with you, Trevor. When was the last time you did something for the first time? What was it? When was it?
I'd say make a baby, but actually I started a new sport last week. So I'm doing it for him because I want Stephanie played lacrosse. She wants him to play lacrosse, so I got to learn how to play lacrosse. I signed up for what I thought was an amateur league, but these guys are all college players, so they're smoking me. But it's fun. I love it.
It's so fun to see Trevor, like the athletic side of him, doing a new athletic pursuit, because it's just amazing. Like, he picks things up so fast. He is such a well-rounded person, athlete. Like, watching him, you know, he always is like, I don't have hand-eye coordination, I can't play baseball, but like, he's really good at this lacrosse thing. He's not even played for 2 weeks. Like, and when I say play, I mean he like takes a ball and like throws it against a wall, not like he's actually playing with people, because, you know, he's just building that community here. But it's really fun and sexy to see him like do a new athletic pursuit for the first time. So
okay.
Okay. Let me say this before. I was trying to look up his name. It's so stupid that I don't remember this. But lacrosse is an East Coast thing. I was born in Maryland, you know, and that's how I knew it, you know, because Native American, I believe it was derived from a game that they had. So when you said you were from Virginia, I was like, oh, yeah, of course, lacrosse. But now it is popular. It's everywhere now. Yeah, it's doing really well. And one of our a Hall of Fame football player, Jim Brown, way back in the days, you know, one of the greatest players to, if not the greatest player to ever play football in college, his number one sport was lacrosse for Syracuse, I believe. So it's like, a little trivia for you. All right, Stephanie, when was the last time you did something for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, my whole life with Trevor, like, I will say, pregnancy, baby, like, that's a big one. Have to say it, like, and I'm trying to really cherish it, because yes, we want more, we want a bigger family, but like, this will be my first time having like my first baby, my first pregnancy, like just the unknown of that. And it's such a physical thing for someone who, like, my body was my whole career for so long, and like giving up that control and just saying like, okay, like there's something else that's like going on inside me, and I just have to do my best, but I can't control what happens. It was just so trippy, you know? And like, yes, the body changes, like all of that. It's so physical, but yet you can't like dictate how it's going to go, you know? So that was a great test of mental toughness and trusting the universe, and just like, yeah, it was amazing. So highly recommend, if anyone wants kids, I recommend it. I think it's a great experience as a woman, to see like how powerful your body really is. But yeah, so it's kind of that's kind of an easy one to say. Sorry, but that
it isn't. I can't have kids, so it's not that easy. So, at least physically, I can't have them. I have a child and wonderful nieces and nephews. My final question to you guys, so you guys can get off the hook. You can take off after this one. It's going to start with you on this one, Stephanie. Okay, so you guys are out there. The both of you are out there. Even with little Charlie, you're out there on a trail, hiking, enjoying nature as you head, and come across a lamp. It's laying on the ground. You guys do what everybody does when they pick up a lamp. You wipe it off. Out pops me, the genie in the lamp. Been in there for millions and trillions and zillions of years. So happy that you finally freed me. I'm not going to give you 3 wishes. I'm going to give you guys the ultimate gift. I am going to give you, in this moment, the undivided attention of the world. In this moment, the whole world just stops what it's doing, and they're going to listen to you. In this moment, Stephanie, what do you say to the world?
This is tough to choose just one thing, but I think I would tell the world there is enough love and success for everyone. It's not finite. It's not, there's not like just for the rich people, just for the hardworking, you know, just for the like mentally tough people. Like, you are worthy of love and success in whatever it is you want to do. You don't have to hate on anyone else for what they have. Like, keep your like focus on you and your loved ones and your community, and good things will happen for you. So that is my thing. There's a lot of, we've talked about partisanship and my side versus your side and whatever. It doesn't have to be that way. Like, I think there's a lot of fear and anxiety in the world with the economy and with like whatever. You are worthy of love and success, and it is there for you. just trust. I mean, you have to do the work too sometimes, but like, you know, it's there. So don't hate, don't get angry, don't resent other people. Like, focus on you, be present with what you want, and you can get it.
Trevor, all over the world just now, they're like, wait, shh, stop, hold up. Trevor's about to say something.
She stole mine.
Oh, shut up.
I was going to say everybody love everybody, but
there you go.
But I guess I'll change it and just say be engaging with each other and proactive. You know, like engaging, like, hi to people. That changes people. If you wave at them out of nowhere, like, what the hell you do? But they like it. So, you know, and be proactive, like, be a good person. Like, wait for people at crosswalks. Don't ride 3 inches behind someone on the freeway. Like, don't, you know, it's hard to do, I guess, these days to just be a good person. But
yeah, jumping on that, like, I'm new here to Seattle, and I've said to him like a couple months ago, like, people aren't friendly here. Like, it's not like in the South. Like, they don't smile at you. They don't say hi when you're passing them. Like, everyone's much more isolated, and maybe some of that's COVID, but I don't know. Like, we need more of what he's saying, like just genuine kindness and like community. I think so many things in this world could be solved if we had like that sense of community again, which you guys get in the Tough Mudder world. Yeah,
you're part of that foundation too. Whether you know it or not, you're part of that foundation. The things that I say to them in that circle is you're part of that witness for me. You know, it's because of how I witness you out there. So
I'm slowly working on Seattle, 1% at a time. It's taking a while. We're growing fast.
You know what? As I say with everybody, it starts with you being the best person you can be. That's where it all starts from. And even if you don't go any further than that, in my opinion, you've made as big a contribution to this world, to our lives, as anyone, just by being your best. So thank you guys so much. I look forward to seeing you at World Toughest Mudder again, and little Charlie, hopefully. And I can't thank you enough. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Sean, for having us.
Thank you for
having
us.
Awesome.
You're not going to come to Seattle this weekend?
Unfortunately, no. I wish I could be at both places at all, but they have me in Pittsburgh this weekend. So
I love Pittsburgh. That's such a great city.
I love them both. I've had positive times in Seattle also. That's a great event also, you know, and yeah. So
is that Clinton going to be there in Seattle?
Yeah, you get Clinton.
Sweet.
So give him a big muddy hug. So, give him a big muddy hug. So
good hug.
All right. You can find Tough Mudder on Facebook and Twitter. That will be @ToughMudder, or on Instagram, also @ToughMudder. Please remember you can find this podcast, No Excuses, on wherever you listen to podcasts. Guys, subscribe. Let me know what you like, what you're not liking, and I will be including you as much as possible and even more in the future.
Inspirational.
Inspired. Inspire.
No excuses.
Motivational.
Be motivated.
Motivate. No excuses.
No whining.
No quitting. Overcome.
No excuses.
Community. Teamwork.
Tough Mudder.
Tougher together.
No excuses.